do, right? That's a couple a year, 3 a year, 4 a year, something like that. If you get 10 of these, it's $7 million. So you can see, like, very, very, very quickly, as you start to accumulate doors in this space or in this environment, this number is only going to exponentially get bigger. See this number? If that was a duplex, that number would be double. If that was a fourplex, that number would be triple. It'd be like 2 million, right? For the same rent rolls. So the numbers get crazy huge or crazy big. So as you start getting up there, like me, you know, 20 doors, 30 doors, do that math. That's 10 doors. 20 doors is like 14 million. 30 doors is, you know, 20 million or something like that. It's a big number. It's a big number. So, and it's very, very real. So that was kind of the premise of the discussion that I wanted to have in the buy and hold space, as far as how money is made and where you do that. So now I know all of you are asking, all my friends are asking, they're like, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but how do I get the money? How do I go to a bank and go get this money? Well, I would tell you there are 3 ways to go and get money in the investment space. You have something that's called an angel investor. Those are real. Google it. Okay? My parents were angel investors for me. I would be an angel investor for my kids. That means that you'd be touched by an angel. You know somebody who has money and they're like, sure, man, I'll hook you up. I'll lend you whatever the money you need. You have an angel investor. You have a hard money or a private money investor. Okay? And then you got a lender or a bank. So in the real estate space, most lenders and most banks require a 20% equity stake in the property. And then they will charge you an origination fee or a funding fee to fund the loan. So let's start, all things considered and all things being equal. $300,000 loan to buy a property or to buy a piece of real estate. If you went to a bank or a lender, the bank would say, all right, dude, 20% down, 3% origination. What is that, 3% origination? That just means like 3 points on it. So 3 times 3% of 300,000 is $9,000. 20% of 300,000 is $60,000. Like, damn, that's a lot of money. It is. $70,000 in order to buy that property. So this hard money guy in here, well, tell me about hard money guys. Hard money guys don't give a shit about your credit worthiness or your volatility. They want you to produce something called a pro forma. They want to take a look at the asset and the investment. They want to look at your schedule and like money target, your exit strategy, and they want to know that they're going to be made whole or that their investment is secure. So what most hard money lenders will require is they'll be required to be placed in first lien position. They'll execute a contract with you with a deed of trust in first position. And if you don't honor the terms of the note, they take the fucking property back and boot your ass out. So a hard money lender, and they exist. Google hard money lenders. Go to Facebook and Google hard money lenders community group. There's probably thousands in every single city or in every single state in our country. There are hard money lenders that are giving money away right now to borrow at anywhere between 10 to 20%. Someone will lend money, but you're like, okay, well that's great. Well, what do hard money lenders want to do? They say, okay, is this property worth $300,000? Yeah, okay. If I give you the $300,000, in order for me to fund this right off the front, so that I know that you're legit and you're real, you're going to pay me 3 points. And then you're going to pay me up front for the duration or for the terms of the note. You want to borrow money for 90 days? Cool. You owe me 3 months, 1 point a month. 1 point a month is 12% interest. Like, damn, that's a high note. It is. So 3 months, month 1, 2, and 3, you're going to pay him $3,000. $3,000, $3,000. And then you have this up here, which is $9,000. So this guy's gonna ask you right out of the bat, all right, dude, are you serious about this shit? If you are, you owe me 18 grand. I will fund this real estate deal for you, right? And if you're like, well, I'm gonna be short, I need more money in that. This guy will be like, all right, how much do you need to improve this property? And you say, I need another 40,000 or 50,000 or 60,000. He's like, okay, that's cool. As long as it appraises and you come back out and you can secure that, that's good. Over here, you have an angel. Angels don't charge you shit. Happens. So what is by design, what is the intent of this real estate scheme right here, or purchasing? Well, if you're in the buy and hold space, if this is already rented or a rental and it has revenue attached to it, you can automatically put it on a balance sheet. We'll go into what a balance sheet is later. But if not, let's say it requires reinvestment, to bring it up to community standards of $50,000. Well, you're going to have to pay that at every level, right? Except in this space right here, this $50,000 is only going to charge you 3 points of $50,000 right there. That looks like $1,500 in payments over the time, plus the other one. This one's going to cost you $3,000 more money overall in the deal. Bring this guy back over here. The bank will be like, oh, you want to roll $50,000 into it? You need to collateralize that 50 by 20%. This one right here is going to cost you 10 grand. This one right here costs you 50 because that's angel money. Unless the angel gives you the 50 grand and, hey, well, you're great. So what does this scheme look like? Well, if you reinvest and you do your money right, and all things being equal, you hope and pray that your reinvestment will get you a 20% stake above your total vested. So you can go to the bank and secure lending. If not, you're going to pay 10%. You're going to get a bank loan for 10%. You have to put some money down and etc. But let's say for all intents and purposes, if you do your investment properly and appropriately, this house appraises for $450K, right? Now you're in safe space right here. You have about a 20% gap. The appraised value on it is $450K across the board after you do the $50,000 investment. Well, at that point, hard money guys like, give me my freaking money back, punk. You invested your 50 grand, you got your flip done in 90 days, you go out and you get an appraiser. The appraiser appraises the house at $450,000, but you're on the hook for 350 grand. You secure a loan with the bank, it takes 30 days to close. The bank says, you owe me a 3% origination fee. You don't have any percentage down anymore because you have a 20% equity stake in the property, but you do owe me 9 grand to buy this property. So then you take out a loan for 450 grand, right here, technically 459 grand, probably more like 460 grand, let's just call that, because you're gonna have like appraisal, and you're gonna have like title closing and a bunch of other crap. So we'll call it for 460. And then the cost of money for this 460 grand is gonna be I believe, excuse me, 2,000. $400. Yeah, it'll be about $2,300. $2,300. All right. So you're in this bad boy for $2,300 now, right? Well, what do I do here now, sir? You have this house that you own in the buy and hold space now. Then it's been beautifully upticked. You're 460K into this bad boy with the refi, right? Your payment's $2,300, right? But your rent roll Say it's 2,500. Okay, so now you're making 200 bucks a month. In your earning space, in a 1-year progression, you already have the equity stake that's in here. What was the equity stake? $350,000. So you have $110,000 in the appreciation column that you've already made revenue on. When you sell the house, that number will come back out. You have the $200,000 right here, which is going to be $2,400, and you're going to get very marginal pay down on this. You're going to end up paying down when you do the amortization schedule on this. You're going to end up paying like $3,000 out of the principal balance out of this in 1 year, but you're still making money. So in the buy and hold space, in 1 year, if you play your cards right fundamentally, you'll make about $115,000. Okay? If you sell at any time inside of this space, you are subject for short-term capital gain penalties. Short-term capital gain penalty, 41%. Plus state, plus closing costs, plus realtor fees, plus whatever. The real number is like 50%. So if I bought this property and I was vested this much and I unloaded it, in 1 year I only make 50% of this, so I end up making like 62. They don't tell you that shit on TV when they're like flipping houses. You have some guy that like goes through it in a whirlwind, like 1 hour session, and when it gets done, like the Property Brothers, they'd be like, "We made $125,000." Like, no, you didn't, dipshit. You made like 60. So don't lie to me and don't fool everyone on TV. You did, but then when you had to pay taxes on it, and you had to pay the realtor's fee, and you had to pay the buyer's fee, and then the funding fee, and then the advertising fee, and the cost to like set it up and stage it, 50% of that profit goes out the window. If you hold this real estate for longer than that, for 2 years or longer, you can vacate that. The other thing that you can do is that you can roll this into a 1031 exchange. That will be a discussion for later. Or you can start accumulating all of these and you can bundle them. Let's say at the end of like 1 year, you accumulate 4 houses. Well, you can bundle all 4 of these into a 1031 group, and you could trade 4 greenhouses for 1 red hotel. Remember Monopoly? That shit's real. That right there. 4 greenhouses. Right? That to me right there looks like, I don't know, $2 million or something. We're close. So you mean you could trade 4 houses worth $2 million for like a boutique hotel for $2 million or $2.5 million? Yes. And then you can trade this for an even bigger hotel. So that is specifically another avenue or another discussion inside of the buy and hold space and why it's so favorable and how you go get that money and what the cost of money is. The next question I'm going to get is, how on earth do you find these deals? And how on earth do you know this? And do you know this? And do you know that? Well, when I told you previously, or when I told you earlier, I have a tremendous amount of experience in the construction space. I've done hundreds of jobs for hundreds of people and organizations. My ears are always to the ground. And I absolutely know with 100% confidence what I can do to a property and how to bend a property into something that I want more desirable. In the most favorable way, in the most broadest term and the most clear sense, the idea in real estate is when you are looking at a subdivision, say these are lots, and each one of these lots are houses, you want a subdivision that's R2, R3, R4, or C2, C3, C4, C6, etc. C6, C whatever. So what does this mean? R1 means one house, or one door. R2, two doors. R3, obviously, three doors. Well, what happens when we get in here into like commercial, C4? What does that mean? This says you can have any other occupancy subordinate to it, and the occupancy itself. So if C4, well, what does that mean? Well, that means it's like a condo complex. You could have a commercial space on the bottom and like 4 apartments on top. But if in that district or that zone it says you can have 20 doors, then that's great. So in the C4 district, let's say all these lots are the same. Let's say C4 says you can have 16 or 12 of those bad boys in it, all things being equal. It doesn't matter. When I'm searching for real estate, I'm looking for this. I don't care about this. I mean, that's critically important. That puts stability in your portfolio. But ultimately, I'm looking for this. And as a matter of fact, I'm looking for this in one of these districts. I'm looking for an R1 house, a single family house that's in an R3 or an R4 district. Why? Because I'm a general contractor and I'm a developer, and I can bend this one house into 4 houses or a 4-plex. And I know how much it costs to bring all these utility ties in and other ties and etc. So I can maximize my profit. I also know that from an economy of scale standpoint, I make $250 a month on this, $1,000 a month on this, $1,800 on this, and $3,000 on this. I just do. We went over that math earlier. A 4-plex, $3,000 a month, or $600,000. But I bought this house, right? Let's say I bought this single family house right here for $250,000 for the cost of the dirt. It was some piece of shit house. So I bought this for the cost of the dirt, some piece of shit house for $250,000, and I put $400,000 back in it. Yeah, $400,000 back in this lot. I'll put $300K back in this one. I'll put $200K in this one. I'll put $100K in this one. And look at the incremental state of returns. As I started getting more and more dense and more dense, I'll tell you that this number over here, when you start adding those doors in, that's about $10,000 a month in revenue excess that you make for investing $1 million. You can buy a 12-unit building, put $1 million in it, pay the note for $5,000 a month, and clear $15,000, which leaves you net profit of about $10,000. There is no secret to the class that I just came, or the education model that I just gave. There was a lot more to it than just this from like a real life standpoint. There are a lot more moving parts to it, but from a fundamental like foundation, like root thing, these numbers and this discussion is very, very, very real.